Hello, everyone. My name is Pedro Santos. I'm coming from Porto, Portugal. I work with a research academic R&D center called SISTER. I'm talking about localization in cellular networks, so I named the proposal POSCA. So what is this about? So we've seen, particularly during 5G, a lot of talk about private 5G networks. So the operators of an industrial facility, of a port, of an airport can deploy their own 5G hardware and create their own 5G network that, well, they can, for example, outsource its operation to a third party. But we see now the possibility of having a, let's say, private 5G infrastructure that is used only on those premises, right? And these are the places where you'll find interesting applications like asset tracking. So consider an industrial plant, consider a port. You want to know where your assets are, where your container is, where a particular SQ is. You want to keep track of this. Typically, you would use something like ultra-wideband or GPS positioning for that. But there might be another option, because in fact, in cellular technology, we already have the technology to do some level of positioning. In 4G, we would already have beamforming. In 5G, we will have this massive MIMO abilities. And this gives us some level of ability to do positioning and even think about precision positioning, like we heard in this morning's talk. And so, but even though there has been some talk about it in the standards and the standardization activities, this still has to go a long way before it becomes an actual standard. And more than that, it becomes a service that is actually monetizable by telecom operators. So when we think about telecom operators, we think about communications. We don't really think about positioning, but the technology is there. So a little bit about from myself and where I'm coming from. So again, I come from the sister research unit in Porto. We have strong ties with the University of Porto and also another school of engineering. We work mostly on real-time embedded systems and also cyber-physical systems. So bridging or making the loop between sensing and actuating. That's the sort of things that we try to look into. And we have, well, good ties with both academia and industry in our area. We are a, let's say, small to medium size organization, 15 PhD researchers, 20 PhD students. And we also have a long track record of partnering in European projects, particularly in the KDT joint undertaking, also in another Eureka cluster, ITEA. CELTIC, I don't think we have so much. And you are welcome to consult our page of projects. I think this will give you a very, very good idea of what we do at SISTER. And so the key point of my of this proposal or of this idea is really how can we create or make a reality that positioning becomes a service in cellular architectures. There's two questions to answer here. One of them is on the radio access network, really understanding how good can we do positioning with the current technology, or what advances would we need to have really precise positioning using cellular technology. And how would we integrate that in the system architecture of 5G, 6G? How would we process that data and provide it as a service to the end user? What about GPS? Well, that would be, in outdoor scenarios, that would be a container for sure. My contention is that if you're doing asset tracking on the outdoor, you'll need a GPS and then you'll need a radio to transmit that position. If you have the cellular communication doing the positioning itself, then you're down to a single device. You don't need the GPS. You can do the radio both for the positioning and the communication of that position. Or even you don't need to transmit any position because the infrastructure will do the positioning itself, just needs to hear from the asset. So in that sense, you could be down to a single device that simultaneously does communication and positioning. And if you have efficient energy harvesting solutions at the asset, maybe you won't even need a battery. So that would be an interesting value proposition for players that wish to do asset tracking. So what are the expectations for this project? To investigate what is the accuracy of current positioning current positioning accuracy on the current technologies for 5G, for the radio access in 5G and future generations. Understand how can we get that data through the 5G from the RAN components, and then understand how can we integrate this data stream into the 5G system architecture and provide it as a service. So we are looking into having something like positioning as a service by the telecom operators, which typically wouldn't be a go-to, I guess, a go-to player to ask for this kind of service, but they could become, and I think that opens interesting market possibilities. And the project would last 36 months. What is currently happening? So in release 17, there's already mention of some expectation of having accuracy in the 20 to 30 centimeter range for next releases and future cellular generations. We could look even to even smaller or better accuracies than this. And in fact, this has become a point of attention for big players. So Nokia and Bosch recently, very recently, this is from last February, agreed, and I've indeed agreed and understood that 5G positioning is indeed a reality that can become an interesting marketable asset for companies. So we are particularly looking to people who are into 5G either as users or developers, also partners that are that are users or providers of radio technologies, so working more hands-on with the radio technology. System integrators and end clients, of course, also interesting, but I think that's also a possibility that we can bring from our own network of contacts. We would also be open to join existing consortiums, and we would bring some expertise on the radio modeling and also on the system integration. I would say at this point, this is not so much a proposal as much as an idea. So this could evolve to a proposal with other partners that are also interested in working in the RAN and the core of the network. But also we would be willing to join existing consortiums and bring a use case with additional partners from Portugal. So that would be fairly easy to us to do. I think core point is always to create connections with other countries. And that's also where some of the good things of this program come from, right? Thank you.